Well, hello, NT. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you. Thank you.
I am very happy to be here. I'm really glad we can make this happen.
And me too. I heard your interview with Paula M, and I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to just meet to give a different perspective, mainly around some breaking news that happened on Saturday, and get your perspective because it's about, Hollywood and just so that maybe people who are subscribers to my channel who may not know you, could you just give us a little intro about your work and then we can go into the Hollywood topics I wanted to talk about?
Sure. I run a blog called crazydaysandnights.net. I've been doing it since November 2006. And I also have, social media at NT Lawyer. And then I do a podcast almost every day on Patreon. And I know you're on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
So patreon.com/NT Lawyer. But yeah, I do a lot of gossip, celebrity dirt, and I find it interesting and a lot of fun to do.
Okay, so do you have a direct connection to Hollywood per se, like work within the industry? I,
Yes.
I know lawyer,
Yes.
but right, you're
Yes.
entertainment lawyer. Mm-hmm.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And so I've done that, and I've done. I mainly do a lot of contracts for movies, and then I've also have a huge music background. Um,
Oh,
so
okay.
that's how I got started was with music and concerts.
Okay, so you would know a lot about the ins and outs of Hollywood just because you work within that field, and then you just started this blog to talk about it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Talk about my
Oh,
personal stories.
okay. Wow. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So, with that in mind, I know that there's a lot going on with the most recent news around Christian Keys, who has these allegations out there around a big wig within the industry who has sexually harassed him, and he's coming out, speaking out about it because it's been very troubling for him. And he just wants to, hey, put it out there. This is so groundbreaking because generally you don't get someone talking about a person in particular that's high profile in a way that he has done it. The last time I think something this big has come out was during the Me Too movement, and also around R. Kelly, and I think there was the guy that was on that show, that 70s show.
Danny
Um
Masterson.
yeah, Danny Masterson. So this is like the next big thing that we're seeing. And when I saw that, I was so blown away, only because I can relate to it. I don't know if you know, but I was an actor in Hollywood when I was younger, and I can completely relate to this these kind of allegations and stories that happen, because it happened to me a lot. Hence why I'm no longer in Hollywood anymore. Just got sick of it. But what are your thoughts around this, and do you know Christian Keys?
I have never met Christian. Um, I think that where everybody is speculating, obviously,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say who they're speculating about. It doesn't mean that we're right. I'm just gonna say who
Right.
everybody else is speculating about, so that way we don't have to say this person, this person, this person.
Right.
Because
Okay.
he said that this person is a billionaire, it is
Mm-hmm.
a person deified by the community
Yep.
and believes he will be immediately crucified for speaking out because of how cherished this deity is. So
Mm-hmm.
that only it makes me think that it is Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Now there was news. I'm gonna put one little wrench, one little caveat in this. Okay, just one
Okay.
thing before we just assume for the sake of this conversation that it is Tyler Perry that he's speaking about.
Okay.
But there was David Geffen last week, who is also a billionaire and also a mogul,
Mm-hmm.
also gay. Although I don't think Tyler Perry's ever come out, but David Geffen is a gay man, and he
Mm-hmm.
gave a huge donation, massive donation, like many hundreds of millions of dollars. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody said when he gave it that there was going to be news coming out about him this week that was going to be awful.
Oh.
Okay, so I just want that just in the back of everybody's head. Okay. I still think he's talking about Tyler Perry, but I'm just saying that when David Geffen gave this, everyone's like, he did this because there's news coming out about him. So
Hmm.
we just need to keep that in mind when we're talking. I think that there's enough clues from what Christian's saying that it is Tyler Perry, because he said in one of the parts, he goes, and he says, and no, I didn't watch that documentary. And that documentary is likely Maxine's baby, which
Yes,
is the
right.
story of Tyler Perry. So, I mean, he gives a couple of clues like that.
Well,
And
yes, and also something else. He also said that he worked with this person. Now,
yes,
I don't know, has Christian worked with David Geffen?
not that I can find, but you got to realize that
Yeah.
David Geffen works with a lot of people. But here's the thing is that I think that this was around what, 2008, 2009, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
A
think
while
that's what he
ago,
was
yeah.
saying. Yeah, it was a while
Mhm.
ago. And I think that because of the nature of what it was, again, it seems to be somebody like Tyler Perry, because here's what, when you're David Geffen,
Mhm.
you don't get to stay at his guest house when you get drunk at a party. You
Okay.
don't get to do that. That's just not something he does. He would throw, even if he wanted to like sexually assault you or whatever, he would
Mhm.
probably just send you away because there's too many cameras and stuff. So
Okay.
Christian got drunk at a party, slept it off in, let's say, Tyler's guest house, thinking it was safe. Tyler tried to climb into bed with him and, you know, got upset and then leaves, tried to grab Christian a couple of times on his equipment on the way out.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that David Geffen would never allow himself to be caught doing is getting something on
Mm.
tape. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
And when you have this guy, because Christian got, let's say, Tyler on tape admitting that Tyler has several young men on the payroll, each making
Mhm.
six figures, who will grab their ankles and let him have his way with them.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't think
That's
you would
yeah.
catch David Geffen on tape ever, ever. So I think
Okay.
that more and more it falls into the Tyler Perry universe.
Okay, so why do you think it would never fall into David Geffen universe with it being recorded? Like he's very careful. Is that what you're saying? That he
Well,
would never?
yeah, David Geffen is like, okay, David Geffen is he is the leader of what is known in Hollywood, and maybe it's a derogatory term at this point, but the gay mafia. Okay,
Oh, okay. I didn't
and
know there was a such thing.
there is such a thing, and I just, one of the things about it is that he is in control of basically everything. He would be Tyler Perry would be still looking up at David Geffen, even as Tyler Perry being a billionaire. And
Mm.
Oprah, always is with David Geffen, constantly with David Geffen, always on his yacht. Like Oprah
Mhm.
aspires to be David Geffen.
Mm.
And so when you have that kind of thing, David Geffen is just not the kind of guy who's going to get, even and especially in 2008 and 2009, you're not going to get him wrapped up in
Mm.
some kind of, oh, I'm going to make a mistake and you're going to get to record
Mm.
me or whatever. That's just not going to happen.
Mhm.
And so I think that that's why it leans more to Tyler Perry, especially if you're going back to 08, 09. Tyler was not nearly as he was popular in 08 and 09, but he wasn't as powerful in 08 and 09
Mhm.
as he is now. And
Mhm.
and if you think about it, there used to be this Hollywood powerhouse, Michael Ovitz. And for a little while, he founded CAA, Creative Artists Agency, one of the
Mhm.
biggest agencies in the world, served as its
Yeah.
chairman until 1995. He was president of the Walt Disney Company for a little while. But one of
Mhm.
the things is that he said that the reason he lost his job, the reason he had his downfall was because of David Geffen. And
Mm.
basically he blamed it basically on the gay mafia, but in his eyes, the leader of that was David Geffen. And basically David Geffen destroyed Michael Ovitz. And
Mhm.
Michael Ovitz said that David Geffen tries to destroy everything close to me. He went after my kids. He spread rumors about them. The guy is totally immoral. He paints himself like this priest. And you can find that
Hmm.
in the New York Times. This is not something, this is an interview he gave to the New York Times. This is not something he just said privately to someone. It was an interview like that. So, you know, David Geffen is just, it would be like, if you're watching like a mafia thing, it'd be like trying to get Tony Soprano on a recording or whatever. You're not gonna,
Hmm.
you're
I
not gonna be
see.
able to do that. I just, that's why. And
Mhm.
also, I can't find that Christian Keys and David Geffen really ever had the opportunity to
Yeah.
really be close. And David Geffen, although he, DreamWorks SKG, Spielberg, Katz, Geffen,
Hmm.
um, he's more of a music guy, you know.
Okay. Well, so is
Um,
Christian.
I know, but
Yeah.
I can't find the connection. Now it's only been a
Yeah.
day, so I
Yeah.
haven't been. I've been trying to go with what everybody else is going with, and going with the Tyler Perry thing. And the other thing that was close, that it was, that makes me think that it was Tyler Perry, is, have you heard the name Robert Smith?
I have. He's a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So, and Robert Smith, there was another clue with what Christian was saying. And he said that
Okay.
there was another person. And he said that he explained having a meeting with an investor to get him to invest in Christian's company. And
Mm-hmm.
Christian gives the presentation. And then Christian's people leave. And the investor asked him to come into a different conference room. And the conference room led to a suite. And that this investor changed into like silk pajamas and a robe, has champagne, has strawberries. And then
Mm-hmm.
Christian gets up to leave. And the investor asks him twice, "Are you sure?" Because
Right.
Christian knew that it meant he wouldn't get the deal. And here's the thing, that Christian said that the person, this investor, was out paying tuition for HBCU classes. So
Mm-hmm.
that leads me again to believe that this is all with Tyler Perry rather than David Geffen.
Right. 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 So yeah, not David Geffen.
No,
No. Mm-mm.
but David
Do you
Geffen's a
think?
good
Yeah.
story.
You're right. Do you think he should come out and maybe say who it is not, since people are speculating?
No, it's not like, I don't think he needs to say it's not. I think
Okay.
he's going to need to decide. He said that he is eventually going to file a police report.
Right.
And he says that he's told about 5 people that this happened. And his brother was saying, hey, Christian, stop saying too much on live. But then he also did talk about a woman too.
Right.
And he talked about a female director who, grabbed his equipment a couple of times while they were on the set of a TV show, but he felt like he couldn't do anything because the female director was going to sweep it under the rug. And he was
Mm-hmm.
told to stand there and look pretty. And he didn't like being called a pretty boy. He said, "I'm a man."
Mm-hmm.
And he said that his mom and attorney have all the receipts.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I
this
wonder,
is
why did he come out today? He said that he was inspired by people coming out against Sean Combs, right? I think
yeah.
that's when he said this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think could be behind him coming out when he did about this?
I think maybe he was inspired, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Cassie came out and said what she said about Sean Combs, and Sean Combs handled that so poorly. That was the biggest fail on his part,
Okay,
and it
so
was
for some, because I follow Harry and Meghan, tell those that don't know about what's going on with Sean Combs, P. Diddy, what happened with that situation.
okay. So Sean Combs, who has a long and troubled history, may or may not be behind the death of Tupac.
Right.
Um, and what you have with Sean Combs is Cassie basically said, and she's a singer and an actress and stuff like that, said that Sean Combs had forced her to participate in a bunch of sex games and have sex with different people while he watched, and sexually assaulted her, or just a list of heinous
Listen.
kind of things, just a
Right.
horrible amounts of things. And
Mm-hmm.
then what happened was she decided, hey, I'm going to sue Sean Combs. But before she did, she said, I had my lawyer, reach out and say, hey, we're going to sue. And what happened is that Sean Combs, I think, called her bluff, because I don't think that he thought that she would
Mm-hmm.
go public with the fact that she had to sleep with all of these men for her. and
Mm-hmm.
and that that, okay, because she's going to look horrible because, you know, I took a bunch of drugs. I forced her to have sex with a bunch of male prostitutes while I filmed them and all of this kind of stuff. And I
Mm.
don't think that I don't think he thought that she was willing to do that. And then, she talked about that he forced his way into her home and raped her. And basically she sued him, and he folded in a day, and writes a check for 20 or 30 million dollars. But what
Mm.
happened was, that's what she had asked for before, and then I don't think he thought that she was going to do it. So one day, it is literally out there for one day, he writes the check. But what that did was, much like you said at the very beginning, when you have Me Too, you had
Mm.
Harvey Weinstein, right? And I've been
Yeah.
talking about Harvey long before Me Too, and because it was a an open secret, basically. And so I'd been
Yeah.
talking about Harvey Weinstein. But when the New York Times came out, when Ronan Farrow came out, then all of a sudden everybody had a Harvey Weinstein story, and they piled on. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing that happened with Sean Combs, is that everybody piled on, and you're getting things, and we're having stories about him that he's raped men. We're having stories about other women that are 16, 17 years old that he's, doing these kind of things with. And so then Christian Keys says, hey,
Yep.
I'm not coming forward for a big payout. You know, he mentioned Cassie coming forward, but it made him want to come forward. But he said that he purposely let the statute of limitations expire to show people that that's not what he was doing. But he
Mm-hmm.
said that he wanted people to know who these people are,
Yeah.
and that
Mm.
all these people admire him. Now, I have been writing about Tyler Perry for a long time, and not just in relation to Meghan Markle, but just some of the stories that come out of Tyler Perry's studio, some of the things that about the people that Tyler Perry hires, some of the things that are a little bit shady that he does. And I didn't know that it would be somebody like Christian Keys, if we are talking about Tyler, that did this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Christian is, I mean, he's not a little small fry. So,
Right.
and then if you think about it, there was the other thing, is that Christian said that he had walked around with a recording device since about
Mm-hmm.
2005. Okay.
Right. Right.
And 2005 is about the same time that he started working with Tyler Perry. It's really close
Mm-hmm.
because he did the
Yeah.
Medea Goes to Jail play.
Right. That's exactly. He got his start basically with Tyler Perry when he saw him in
Right.
a play. Yeah, he I guess was the one that got him his start,
Yes.
essentially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but I don't remember. I've only watched the Christian thing once. I don't remember if he said why he started carrying a recording device around since in
I
2005.
I yeah, what he said, because he saw a pattern of just sexual harassment in general, and he thought, all these people that are very big and powerful in the industry, I need to start having some kind of device on me to prove that this is actually happening to me, and this is why he started doing it.
Okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
like I said, I only watched it once really, really quickly, um,
Mm-hmm.
the other day when it came out.
Yeah.
And so I just, when you have that kind of gut feeling, and just think about that, if he started this, 2005, that he's been, thinking about this for a
Mm-hmm.
long time, that he's been holding
Long
on to this.
time. Yeah, a long time. And you almost have to think, could this be the next fall of a mogul? Right. So what do you think? What is Hollywood saying? What is the vibe, with people in the industry around this story?
Well, this is where Tyler Perry, it's a little bit separate because, he's really in Atlanta,
He's in
you know,
Atlanta. Right.
and I
Right.
think that that's where it's huge. And then Harvey he had New York and was in LA, and it was just like straight up movies. And Tyler has his own insulated world, right? Where he controls everything and the whole product. And he doesn't
Yeah.
really branch out from whatever he does. It's just all in his universe, his shows, his movies, or whatever. It's just all in his little universe, uses the same people over and over. And so it's more insulated. And
Right.
and
Right.
I don't know if it will, let's say it is Tyler and all this, and other people start coming forward. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
he'll have a downfall. I don't know if he'll ever end up in jail, but at the same time, I would have never imagined R. Kelly. I thought for sure he had skated by. I didn't think R. Kelly was ever going to end up in jail. I certainly didn't think that Danny Masterson was ever going to end up in jail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so maybe there is this downfall for Tyler. But what's going to
Yeah.
happen is which people, because Tyler's best friends with Oprah, Tyler Perry's best friends with Meghan Markle. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
who they use for their jet most of the time. Is they use one of Tyler's
Exactly.
jets.
Right. Right.
When they're not using it like Elton John's jet. I mean, Oprah doesn't give them her jet, so it's Tyler. Now, what is going to happen because if this was, ABC person, they would come out and they'd say, once it's, because we don't know it's Tyler yet, but let's say it is, they would come out and say, oh, that's horrible, and this is a horrible person, and all this kind of stuff. Can they do that to Tyler? Are they willing to cut those ties? And at what point would they cut the ties? Does he need to be convicted before they cut the ties? Because if you go back to Danny Masterson, even after he had been convicted, you had Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis writing him letters of support saying, oh my goodness, this is, a great person and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they got called out for that. But then let's go and let's look at somebody else. Let's look at Nicki Minaj. Okay. And I guarantee you, and I'm sorry for this, Patricia, but I mean, because they will come after you, the fans of Nicki Minaj. But, so Nicki Minaj has a brother who basically sexually assaulted a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, I forget how old the kid was, is in jail for a long time. Her husband, statutory rape, convicted of that. He murdered somebody. She's married to him.
Wow.
But it had and these are decisions that she has made. She paid for her brother's defense. She paid for everything. She keeps trying to get her husband's conviction expunged. She keeps going after his victim, the rape victim. And, he failed to register as a sexual offender or whatever, but it has not stopped Nicki Minaj from being extremely popular.
Wow. I'm
Extremely
sorry. I have to
popular.
apologize. I don't know much about Nicki Minaj. My daughter loves her, but I don't know much about her.
Yeah, so just take some time and just say, look up Nicki Minaj, Kenneth Petty, and then look up Nicki Minaj and a brother. But here's the thing that I'm getting at is that Nicki has not been canceled. Nicki is more popular than ever.
Right.
And that's a decision that people make. And it doesn't mean I need to support her, but people need to make their own decision. I always say, and it was something that somebody actually told me in church once, and they said, it was something to do with their religion, and they said, I'm not convicted of it. It's like it was something that their religion said they couldn't do, and they said, I can be a part of this religion, but that's not something that I feel inside. And so, me as a person, I don't support Tom Cruise. I don't support Nicki Minaj, but I'm not telling people who to support and who not to support. That's a decision that you have to make on your own.
Right.
And people, R. Kelly, if he got released from prison today, would sell out a concert and a stadium. Okay. So people make these decisions. Chris Brown continues to tour all over the world to sold out places.
Right.
So, you need, and Tom Cruise, the biggest movie star in the world, who's a horrible human being. And
wow. I'm sorry. Tom Cruise?
Yeah. Tom Cruise, Scientology. Yeah,
I know about Scientology, but like my friend of mine worked with him on Rain Man when he did that film in Ohio. She raved about him. Like, I never heard him as a horrible person. I mean, I've heard things about Scientology, but he's not a nice person, or
yeah. Well, I mean, okay, he is one of the leaders of Scientology.
right.
He encourages people to join Scientology. Scientology. I'll give you one story about Tom Cruise. I'll give you the story about Tom Cruise. That won't get you sued because he's very litigious. But basically, he caught his niece kissing a guy that he didn't like. So he sent his niece to, I think they were living in LA. He sent her to Indiana to live with some Scientology family for 2 or 3 years to be punished for kissing this guy.
Wow. Okay.
And then, he knows, like, there's a whole thing about David Miscavige, who's the actual leader of Scientology, and where David Miscavige's wife is because she's disappeared. And, Tom Cruise knows where she is. There's just the fact that, he goes out and says that, oh, Scientology is this great and wonderful thing when, it's not. And just the tactics that Scientology uses. I mean, Scientology did not disavow Danny Masterson until after he was convicted. because of the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they have a civil lawsuit going against them because they knew about all of these rapes and they did nothing.
Wow.
And and so when you got somebody who's the leader of one of these, then you go, okay, that's their person. But there's people who love Tom Cruise. I'm not going to, not like somebody because they like Tom Cruise. I'm not going
Right.
to like
Yeah.
somebody if they listen to Kanye. I just prefer to listen to Kanye pre like 2007 or 2008 and
Mm-hmm.
not to support anything that he does now. But back
Mm-hmm.
2007 to that Kanye, give it to me all day long. The So it just, when it comes to Tyler Perry, I think it's in this kind of realm where he doesn't go into LA. He doesn't go into New York. Yes, he's got, obviously you've got some kind of, feelers out there, and you've got people and you've got streams and revenue streams, but because it's so insulated and because he's so loved, I think it would be more of a Nicki Minaj situation. I think that, like I said, if R. Kelly was not in jail, people would still go to his concerts. So
Hmm.
I honestly don't think this is going to do anything to Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry. I've heard things about Tyler Perry, though, from a man that is gay that knew Tyler Perry before he became a big celebrity. And he was very much a gay man. These are the allegations that this person was saying. And that he is disappointed in Tyler because he hasn't really come out to make gay people look in a good light. And he's a hypocrite for trying to show gay characters in his movies as in a negative light, essentially. So there's a lot of negativity around Tyler Perry out there, around people in the gay community, because they believe he's not being authentic with his person, like who he is. Have you not heard? I mean, you've heard or you see that people really are like Tyler Perry. They really support him and his work.
Well, here's the thing is that Tyler Perry has never come out as gay,
No, he
right?
hasn't. But he's
Never.
been outed as gay by people that have
Correct,
known
but
him
he's
for
never come out, right? It's the
right.
same thing that when I was look, if you go back and like look at my site from when I started in 2006 until Kevin Spacey came out as gay, there were probably 100 blind items that I wrote, but I couldn't reveal it because I don't out people. Okay, that's just not
Okay.
my thing.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
so but there's all these Kevin Spacey ones, and I was so glad the day he finally said, "Of course I'm gay" or whatever, and I just went nuts, and I just like revealed them all in one day. Even everybody knew it was Kevin Spacey, but I hadn't actually said that it was Kevin Spacey. But
Right.
there was so
Okay.
many times where he was he would get the tabloids to say, "Oh, look, I'm with this woman. Oh, we're in love," or whatever kind of things like that. And but the problem is that you have Tyler Perry, who probably is gay, although he hasn't come out, but he portrays gays horribly, like you said,
Yes.
in his movies. Like he makes them like um basically like buffoons and like idiots and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
and Tyler Perry just kind of doesn't see, I guess, that he's doing that, or maybe he's overcompensating. I think that he is very beloved in a you know in his community because of the fact that he's so powerful in Atlanta, and he provides so many jobs, he gives so much money to charity, so many things to
Mm-hmm.
organizations, and I just feel
Yeah.
like he has enough powerful people in his corner that
Mm.
nothing is going to happen to him. When you can pick
Wow.
up the phone and get Oprah, when you can pick up the phone and he could probably get David Geffen, when you can pick up the phone then and get this and just have the narrative swing your way, it's tough. Harvey was on his way down. Harvey was a cranky old guy,
Yeah.
and everybody was totally willing to take Harvey down. I think
But
that
yeah.
that Tyler has always said, "Look, I'm not gay," and he also says that it bothers him that people think that he's gay. So, of course,
Mm.
if Christian finally says, "Oh, this is Tyler," that's the other thing that Tyler Perry has to come to grips with, is that he has always said that he's not gay, and that it really upsets him when people think that he's gay. And so all of a sudden, if Christian goes, "It's Tyler Perry," then Tyler Perry has to go, "Well, yeah, I've been lying to you guys for the last 20 years. Of course I'm gay. I didn't want that to define who I am."
Well, there is a gentleman that has been saying a lot about him, and his name is Walter Lee Hampton. Do you know him?
I know the name. And then
Okay.
there's also Jason Lee who's been talking about him.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, these people talk about him, but again, it's not
It's not.
actually, the Christian Keys has basically, oh, what do I want to say? The cachet, the power, whatever. I mean, Walter
The
Lee
power. Yeah.
Hampton is just,
Mhm.
he's a guy on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, he said some things, but he's got like a couple thousand followers and stuff like that. It's just,
Yeah.
it almost feels like, I don't know, the Christian is
It's
is better, somebody that's more reliable because he's been, if he's been
right.
documenting it for 18 years.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not to discount anything that Walter Lee Hampton is saying or anything like that.
Hmm.
And he's got the YouTube channel and everything and stuff.
Hmm.
I think that the Christian Keys thing just blew it up to next level kind of stuff.
So that's what I'm saying. So I believe that this could be very detrimental, though, to Harry and Meghan, only
For
because of their
sure.
connection. So how do you see Harry and Meghan's relationship now with Tyler Perry, their connection? How could that affect them with these allegations, especially if it comes out that it is Tyler Perry?
That's the thing, right? So here's this is what I've been trying to decide. This is what I've been thinking about
Mm-hmm.
and just trying to play it out in my mind. Because and that's kind of what I said, like, about Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis. They waited until after Danny Masterson was convicted of all of these rapes, serial rapist. He was convicted of it, of all the
Yeah.
serial rapes, of all the different women, and they still wrote
Right. And
letters
then
of
they
support
still.
for him. Okay. So
Yeah.
Meghan and Harry, I don't think they're going to give up on their private jet provider until it makes absolutely no sense. Because if they go after him early, right? If they go after him early and say, "Oh, we didn't know any of this, of course, we're not going to have any association with him," and blah blah blah, right? If
Mm.
they do, and then what happens if with the scenario I gave you is true, where Tyler, he takes a couple of hits, maybe he gets knocked down once or twice, but he gets up and wins the fight. So then
Mm-hmm.
he will just have it out for Meghan and Harry. And what does Tyler do? Tyler produces television shows. Tyler produces movies. Do you think that Tyler Perry maybe would take a chance and just start, make some kind of situation comedy and make it about Meghan and Harry, but not actually call them Meghan and Harry? Maybe he would do
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So they really, really need to say, okay, if it's Tyler, you know, and I guarantee that they're having meetings right now and they're thinking, what do we do? What do we
Yep.
do? Because if they don't say anything, then
Mm-hmm.
all of the people go, I thought Megan, I thought you were a champion of, of people and rights, and
Yep.
you want people to be sexually assaulted, and you want all this kind of stuff. What how come you're not, vocally saying something?
Right.
So,
Right.
and she's going to go, well, yeah, of course, but at the same point, I need to see more information and I need to see more stuff. I mean, it's going to be a no-win situation for them, because
Absolutely.
I think they're going to wait far too long, and it's always going to be something that comes up for them. It's tough to give up somebody who gives you a private jet whenever you need it. It's tough to give up somebody who's giving you like $500,000 a year.
Right. And who is the godfather of your daughter?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
So,
I think,
and
yeah,
then
this
if
is
you go against
detrimental.
Tyler, then are you going against Oprah? Because here's the other thing, is that
Hmm.
I am not convinced right now.
That is
Not
Tyler
convinced.
Perry.
Well, no, I'm pretty convinced about that. I'm not
Oh,
convinced
okay.
that Oprah and Meghan Markle are on good terms right now.
Yeah. I believe the same thing. Yeah. Hmm.
So if Meghan and Oprah are not on good terms right now, but Oprah and Oprah is going to support Tyler Perry
Right.
for, I think, ride or die. I just,
Hmm.
because nothing's going to take, because it's not Oprah that did it. So she can, I think that she would support Tyler ride or die. She might not talk about it, but I think behind the scenes that she would support him. And, but Meghan, does she have that kind of ride or die mentality for somebody like that? Because Oprah learned this ride or die, you got to take the hits from like David Geffen. And David Geffen's, look, It's like the mafia. You got to stick to your team. You don't bail on your team. You don't bail on these guys. They're loyal. And that's how it kind of looks. And now it's obviously a bad decision to support, a sexual assault or sexual harasser,
Yeah.
somebody like that. But it doesn't hurt somebody like Oprah. It doesn't hurt somebody like a David Geffen. But it would hurt somebody like Meghan Markle. But
Because she doesn't have much power.
no, she doesn't have that power.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have a very okay. Like William Morris Endeavor is going to say, here's what, and that's the other thing is William Morris Endeavor and Tyler Perry have this huge, massive relationship too. So then you're like, okay, so we're going to make our agency and the agencies, just everything's intertwined in Hollywood. Everything just like touches everything.
Right.
And you know that from being an actress, like if you're an actress and even if you're, I don't know, let's say you are in Atlanta, let's say you're in Vancouver, not LA for the most part, but let's say you're in Vancouver and Atlanta, these cities that have a lot of filming and everything. Everybody knows everybody because if there's 10 productions in Atlanta going on, whether it's a Tyler Perry thing, whether it's The Walking Dead, whatever, the crew members all work on these different shows and all these different movies, the same ones, and so they know all those kind of people. And in Vancouver, it's the same kind of thing. But everything is just this kind of cross-pollination. And I don't know, because when you get the agencies involved, and then with the agencies get involved, and then they're like, okay, well, we want, and Leo's not on WME, but like Leo, we want you to speak, and just come out and say something, or go take a picture with Tyler Perry or whatever, and just these little subtle things. This is
it's
big.
all connected.
It is, but the Meghan Markle thing, she doesn't, because of the stands that she has taken, she has very little wiggle room. But she needs to decide if, and again, maybe Christian doesn't say the name, and then they don't have to make a decision. I bet you Meghan Markle, anything, she's like, oh, please, Christian, don't say anything. What if Christian ends up dead? Then everybody's going to be talking.
Ask you. That's what I was going to ask you. But you know what he said? He said that they have this several copies, layers of people have this information should something happen to him.
Yes.
So,
but it's a little bit tougher, right? Because it's not Christian firsthand. Now, if he recorded something that said, okay, it's this and this and this, it's Tyler Perry, and this is the circumstances or whatever, that's okay. And then that could be, but if it's just a bunch of things that people are supposed to put together, then that makes it a little bit more difficult. So obviously, I hope nothing happens to him, but I guarantee you that if it is Tyler Perry, that he probably wants him dead, and that, everybody else involved probably wants him dead. So I would worry if I were him. I think that Meghan Markle won't know how to handle this. And if she wasn't with William Morris Endeavor, she'd be already failing at this.
Yeah, because they're guiding her and telling her, what to do. Well, when she had that big blow up with Jessica Maroney, when she came out and made these comments about that Exeter lady, and she appeared to come off as racist. So Meghan distanced herself from Jessica just because she didn't want to have to be attached to someone that had racist allegations out there, or who was treating someone, like she didn't like her because she was black, or whatever. Because this Exeter lady came out and contradicted Jessica's story about, you were saying that you apologize in public, but then, you're going to DM me and stab me in the back. So there was this conflict, and Meghan immediately just dropped Jessica. Like, she is no longer friends with her, at least in public, she's not.
She's not in
that's
private
within
either.
her wheelhouse. She's what?
She's not in private friends with her either. Because Jessica has taken some shots over the last couple months at Meghan.
Yeah.
And because I think that she did get cut. And I think that the reason that she got cut is much the same. Look, Meghan Cutter was thinking about cutting her anyway, and then all of a sudden gets a really good reason to do so, what makes Meghan look really, really good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And which is, there's nothing wrong with it. I think that what what Shannon, I think it was Shannon Exeter, right?
Well, yeah, I
Sasha,
forget her
Sasha
first name.
Exeter.
Yeah, Sasha.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
Sasha shared was great and everything, and I think it was important. And Jessica did have that coming to her, but at the same time, I think that Megan had outgrown Jessica. And here's the other thing: is that Jessica
Mhm.
Mulroney was a source of a lot of leaks about Meghan Markle, a lot of them.
Oh, okay. So she did Megan know this or have a hunch
Yeah,
that
yeah. But
okay.
she couldn't figure out how to necessarily get away from it. But when Megan was in Toronto, she needed Jessica, right? Because Jessica
Yeah.
was higher on the list. I mean, she's married to Ben Mulroney, right? He's the son of a
Right.
former Prime Minister of Canada. So
Mhm.
they needed that. And at the same time, in the US, Jessica's profile went up. All of a sudden, she's on Good Morning America as a contributor and stuff. All of a sudden she's going to host a reality
Mhm.
show, which she wasn't going to, have pre Megan. And so then at
Yeah.
some point, I think Megan realized, okay, there's a lot of stuff coming through, like little people that know the Mulroneys and everything. Because
Yeah.
I've always said that when there was no Meghan Markle in the royal family equation, the only time that
Mhm.
I would ever get any gossip about Prince Harry, Prince William, Kate, anything like that, is if they came to America and if they interacted with regular people. If,
Okay.
Harry went to Vegas and got hammered drunk and hooked up with somebody, or if Harry went to Calgary and, got wasted and hooked up with somebody, that's the only
Mm.
time. Or if Britney Spears actually did talk to Prince William or Prince Harry, whatever, that would usually get out. But that is the only kind of thing. But all of a sudden we got
Mhm.
Megan, and
Yeah.
Megan does what all actresses do in Hollywood or Toronto or whatever. You meet as many people as possible because you're going out all the time and you're trying to network and you're meeting people on set and you meet people and you meet people and you meet people and you talk and you talk and you say, I know this person, I know this person.
Mhm.
And then it all gets out because she knows too many people.
Yeah. And yeah, she grows her network, and I think she also thought Jessica was becoming too high profile, like more high profile with all
Like
these
taking advantage of it.
gigs. Yeah, she was like really kind of growing in her career from her connection to Megan. I don't know if that's the
Yeah, it
reality,
does.
but that's what it seemed like.
And then
She
Megan kind of outgrew her, like the Made in Chelsea friend. She just said,
Oh yeah, the Macintosh
yeah, like I'm
lady.
not going to be
Yes.
friends with you anymore because you're just
Isn't
on a
that
reality show and I'm
terrible?
with Harry, and just dumped the woman. And that it's just
Yes.
like you're just dumping this friend who's been there. You go out for wine and stuff, and because she's on a reality show, then all of a sudden I can't be with her anymore. You
Right.
know,
I mean, that is to me is so oh, that kind of person just burns me. She is so fake, but yet she wants to have this profile as this foundation that she helps and supports people, but you can't even remain friends with people that have been there with you. Like you just get rid of your friends and dispose of them. I mean, how does Hollywood see a person like Meghan Markle? I think they're starting to see that now. What do you think?
I do. I'm going to give you a story. Okay.
Okay.
Here's how it goes. Two parts to this. So in Hollywood, when you write a book, let's say you're somebody famous, okay, and you write a book, and let's say I don't know, some A-list politician or whatever. And
Mhm.
when you write this book, then you do the audio recording of it, okay.
Mhm.
And so this politician does the audio recording of a book,
Mhm.
and when you are doing these Grammy nominations for spoken word, which is like reading the book or whatever, everybody in
Okay.
the Grammys, they're into music. They don't know who any of these people are in these books. So all of a sudden, they're just going down the list and they say, like Obama got one. I think Clinton got one.
Yeah.
Both Clintons probably got one, and so everybody gets a Grammy if you're even known at all. And that's how it goes. So
Uh-huh.
Prince Harry wrote a book. Prince
Yeah.
Harry did the audio for the book. Did Prince
Yeah.
Harry get a Grammy nomination? No, he did not. So it shows you that everybody in Hollywood was like, I'm not giving it to Prince Harry, even though he
That's
was
right.
probably the biggest name on there. They're saying no. And here's your
Yeah.
other story is
Okay.
in 2022, we have Archewell, and Archewell lost like $750,000 or something like that.
Mm.
That's because they only had two donors in 2022. They had two
Yeah.
donors, two, not 25, not they had two
Two.
people gave them money out of everybody that's supposedly their friends, everybody that they know. Two people gave them money. They
Yeah.
have no fundraising thing in place because I don't think that they think it'll be successful. And how much, when you say, like you had said, oh, we're starting this foundation, we're going to do good and all this, but are you
Hmm.
really doing this foundation? If you're losing
Right.
$750,000 a year, are you really
Yep.
doing this foundation? If only two people gave you money, are you really doing this foundation? If you're not raising any money, are you doing this
Right.
foundation? If you're giving $100,000 to some, to make good use of technology kind of charity, what is that?
Hmm.
So two
Yeah.
people, so no Grammy
Yep.
Award, and two people shows to me that Hollywood is not as in love with Meghan Markle as Meghan Markle would want. And the way that Meghan Markle gets love is she is with William Morris Endeavor. So they say, oh, you want to go to the Beyonce concert? Here, go to the Beyonce concert. And then she
Yeah.
stands next to people like Kerry Washington, who I love and adore with
Yeah.
every bit of my being. And all of a sudden it looks like she and Kerry Washington are friends when they are not. And
Right.
then, and then she goes to, the Katy Perry concert and sits next to other people who have no idea, okay, you're here, but why are you here? Oh, because, Katie and Orlando live in Montecito and we're here. And Harry always looks so miserable at those events. But and then
Yes.
they go to Kevin Costner thing. And Megan kind of interjects herself and says, "Here, Harry, here, give them this award, hand them
Right.
this award." When she could have just basically handed it the additional 6 inches to the guy giving the award, but instead,
Yeah.
Harry, give the award, and just always. And that's what's happening now is they're
Yeah.
getting thrust into these parties where they don't know anybody. And it goes back to the wedding. And this is a story I'd love to tell, is that she's inviting people that she's never met. George Clooney, Oprah, all of these people, all of these A-listers that she has never actually met in her life, maybe been in the same room at a party or something, but never actually met them. And Reese Witherspoon gets an interview, gets an invite, and says, "I have no idea who this woman is. Why would I go to her wedding?"
Yeah,
And
well, why
that
did George Clooney and them go? Why did the other people go? I know why Oprah went, but why with the others?
because it's basically a be seen kind of
Be
event,
seen.
and
Mm-hmm.
they want, and their A-listers like to be seen at A-list things. They like,
Yeah.
the Academy Awards, when they moved into their current location from the Shrine Auditorium, they had to basically cut down the invite list by like 60% or 70%. There's just not that many. When Beyonce got nominated, it took a long time for them to be able to find the plus one for Jay-Z. I mean, that's how bad it was. Because they just
Okay.
there's just not enough room. And like some producers, if you have like more than 3 or 4 producers, they won't, let them all in. You have to decide which producers can go. And
Yeah.
so everybody likes to go to the Oscars. Everybody likes to go to the events like that. The Grammy Awards have like 15,000 people. So it's like, yeah, everybody can go. I don't need to be there, whatever. And so this
Mm-hmm.
wedding, though, and this was their chance to be at a royal
Be
wedding, right? They weren't
seen.
invited
Yeah.
to William and Kate's because William and Kate don't know them. So they weren't invited. And they think
Right.
about Princess Diana's wedding and stuff. And so this is our chance to go to a wedding. And I think that they thought that it was cool to go, whether or not they knew them
Okay.
or not. They just wanted to go.
Okay. Yeah, and that's so shallow, I think. I mean, I
It
just
is.
think why? I mean, just because you want to be seen. But going back to Carrie, Washington. So, okay, what do Black women? Do you know what they think about Megan? Because I know they took that picture with her. Were they just taking it because they were encouraged to? Do they really like her? What do you
I
think?
think I think that Kerry Washington was there, and and you're not going to say no. I mean,
Right.
it's just like you're. That's just going to make something you know more awkward and stuff.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that Kerry Washington has hated Meghan Markle, or I shouldn't say hate because that's kind of disliked Meghan Markle
You think she
for like
dislikes
a
her?
decade. Yeah, because
Oh.
Megan was stealing like outfits and stuff that Kerry Washington was wearing. And
Oh.
and then Kerry Washington like unfollowed Meghan Markle and things like that. This is not somebody
Okay.
that's a huge fan. And you know,
You
there
know
are
what I
times.
think?
Go ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, I have
I
nothing.
think
Go
to
ahead.
to show unity amongst Black women, because we're very much encouraged to never put down another sister girl. Although we may not like them, we have to show the world that we are in solidarity with our Black sister girls. And if you're
Yeah.
not, you can be ostracized. So I think that's perhaps why Carrie did that, because I'm thinking maybe she does like her, but this is new to me that she didn't like Megan and that she unfollowed her.
Yeah, so she didn't. And look, she's been asked about Megan, like, but the last time that I remember her being asked was like back in 2018 or 2019 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
It was before actually 2018 because it was before Megan got married.
Okay.
And I mean, she if you ask her, she'll say something polite, but you'll also know that in the picture with Kerry Washington and Kelly Rowland's in the middle. You know,
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
it's not
Like
Carrie
Megan's on the
standing
sidelines.
exactly, and Megan's
Yeah,
barely in the picture. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
um, but and I don't know. Carrie, like I said, she's just so classy and everything. If you went up to her and said something, she would say, "Oh, she's a lovely person," or something like that. She's not gonna. If you go to Kerry Washington, she's not going to give you some kind of quote that's
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be able to take and go back. You're just not. You just kind of
Yeah.
have to, you know, just know things that are going on and stuff. And uh, and the other thing I think that Meghan Markle like tried. She was always okay. She would copy Kerry Washington with outfits and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
and then she said, "Oh, it's because Carrie's my favorite actress." But that's not how
Mm-hmm.
I think that Carrie saw it. And I, I just I find it things like, if I see somebody like famous or whatever, I don't generally take a selfie. It's just not who I am.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Celebrities really don't.
it's just okay. If you say, "Oh, have you ever seen so and so?" Yeah, I saw them and they were this or whatever. But there's very few, people that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have to have a selfie with you." And and if I do, it's probably because I've had too much to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
the only time. And I feel like it was kind of a forced selfie. I was like, "Oh, let's take a selfie, guys," and
Yeah.
Megan's posing and stuff. And we know that Megan sets up paparazzi shots and all this kind of stuff. So, and
Yeah.
then this photo gets out with Megan and Kelly and Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and if Megan wasn't Megan, let's say Megan was Suits Megan, would she have got invited to Beyonce and hanging out with Kerry Washington and Kelly Rowland? Probably not.
Probably not. No, no. And the other thing is, though, Hollywood knows Thomas Markle. I mean, as a lighting director, award-winning lighting director, don't people in Hollywood see how she's treated her father? Like, don't they know? Like, is there gossip around how she's treated her father, even if they don't, follow the royal family or know much about the royals? Is Hollywood hip to that?
I thought that they were. I really honestly thought that they knew the relationship and how all of this happened. But remember, it's been so long since we really talked about Thomas Markle, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we talked, but when he was like, oh, he didn't go to the wedding and all that. Think about how many years ago that was, and we've been through the pandemic and stuff. And
Yeah.
I was telling the story the other day about whether or not he and Doria scammed the lottery and stuff like that. And everyone's like, I don't remember that story. And because people have this like 24-hour, just one news cycle kind of thing that they forget about stuff. And I
Mm.
think that Thomas Markle, you know, going back in time, I think that people forgot about it. And Thomas worked for like General Hospital. He worked for Top of the Heap, and I mean, he was great, and he worked on Made in Chicago and stuff because that's where he started and everything. And I I just think that people have forgotten how she treated her dad. I just think that
Mhm.
it's in everybody's kind of rear view mirror. And I think if you ask, they go, "Oh yeah, was they probably say something like this? Wasn't there some kind of argument about a letter or something?" That's what they would think
Yeah.
about. That's what they would talk
Mhm.
about. They
Mhm.
don't they don't remember anything. You got to realize that you talk about this stuff all the time, right? You
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about it. You know all the minutia.
Yeah.
You know the maid in Chelsea, like I can't ever remember her name or whatever. You remember her name because you talk about this all the time. But other people,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
they see, this is what they see, is they go to the supermarket,
Yeah.
okay? And they're standing in line and they
Yeah.
see People Magazine. And People Magazine obviously is just a mouthpiece of celebrities. So they see whatever headline there. Because
Yeah.
back in the day, you'd have the headlines from the Inquirer. You'd have the Inquirer right there. It's not there anymore. You'd have the Globe. Globe's not there anymore. Your
Yeah.
chances are you're not going to have Us Weekly in front of you. You're going to have just straight up magazines that come straight from publicists, and you're never going to see anything that says Megan and her dad fight. You're never going to
Right.
see a headline like that. And that's where I know it's hard because in the people who are listening to this, you guys listen to a lot of Meghan Markle. You guys listen, you're invested, you know everything about all of it, but most
Yeah.
people don't. Most
Most
people
people
don't.
don't. Yeah, I say that about the Royals and the Americans. That's a typical line for me to say because that's how I see Americans. They don't really know all, like you said, the minutia of everything, and that's why I wish more people would just want to know because she's trying to invade this space that I'm in as well around supporting youth and education. But she perpetrates and she uses it to bolster her own career, and it's a fraud, and it just makes me so upset because all the work that I and myself and the people on my team have to go through to raise money to do authentic work, it's very hard for us and it comes so easily for her. And it's like you want to tell people about somebody who is taking advantage of people. And I just hope that more people start to want to know because it is something that I think is affecting us as Black people because she is somewhat representing Black people. And she's trying to be this person that says she's out doing all this work for young people and education, and she really isn't. And I think with what you were saying about the nominations for the Grammy for Harry as well, they also wanted the nomination for the Netflix documentary. So
Yes, they did.
Hollywood is kind of seeing it, but not the everyday American, I think. But as maybe more Hollywood starts to show their disdain by not giving into these awards for them, because well, what's her name did with the Kennedys, that award she gave them for, they're standing up to the racism within the royal family. Like that was just like a stamp of approval about what they claimed around racism in the royal family, the Robert Kennedy award that they
Yeah.
won. So I think it's slowly happening. I just wish more Americans that don't really follow royalty could really know the impact of this woman because I think, I mean, she wants to get into politics. I don't know how far she'll go, but she's very, very, a fighter. She is going to. I don't care how much people are going to say about her. She is going to keep having mud in her face and keep going for it.
Yeah.
And you just never know what Tyler Perry's going to do. You just never know.
No, I
That
think
that
that
that's the story that I'm kind of concerned about.
I think that when you get a chance, like you should do an episode, and maybe you have, and you need to talk about like that Life Smart education that you do. You need to talk about what's involved when you have a
Yeah,
charity or when you're trying to raise money and what you do every day to get people to notice what you're doing and to want to contribute, to want to volunteer, and how
yeah,
hard that is and how that takes up almost as much of your time
yeah,
as what the actual, program does. And
yeah,
then, compare that to what they do with Archewell, which is go have a couple of photo opportunities,
yeah.
randomly that they got flown in on,
Yeah, that's a
So
good idea. I should probably do that. I don't talk much about my charity, but I probably should because it just infuriates me like how easily it comes for her and just the nefarious behavior. It's just I don't like it because I'm in that world and it's not easy. It's very hard. But
yeah. And there's
I'll
no
just keep
glamour,
doing
there's
what I'm
no
doing.
photo ops, there's nothing like that.
No,
No.
no, no. You're really trying to help people whose lives can really be changed by it. And she uses it to heighten her career and to look pretty and to just say, okay, look what I did for these people. And it's disgusting. It really is
Yeah.
disgusting for me, but it is what it is. But NT, I want to thank you so much for being with me today. I have gotten so much insight just from a few stories you told me that I didn't know about. Yeah, I'm going to definitely keep up on everything that you're putting out. Tell everyone about your social media so I can put it up on the screen here so we know about it.
I will. Before I do, I just want to say I had a great time. And, and
Okay.
talking about Christian Keys and stuff like that, which a lot of
Yeah.
people aren't really talking about. So I'm glad we had the opportunity to do that and just talk about, whether or not somebody's going to get canceled for something. But I'm at NT Lawyer on all social media,
Okay.
crazydaysandnights.net and patreon.com/NT Lawyer.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, and so as this story develops, can we maybe come back and talk more about it?
I
Because
would
it's
love
going to
to.
keep developing.
It is going to
Okay,
develop.
okay. Yes, yes. Okay, we'll keep everyone updated on this story with Christian Keys, and we'll see who he ends up dropping as the person that did this to him. All
Yes.
right, NT, well, you have a good one. Thank you so much, and I will
Thank
let you know
you.
once it posts, okay? Okay.
Perfect. Thanks,
Thank
Patricia.
you. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.